Suggestions on what can be done.
Yes, please.
One, some officers here may remember, we had a big conference on accessibility. And what we were looking at was get all the people that are involved in accessibility, whether it is to do with buildings, whether it is to do with buses and matatus and transport, whether it is to do with hearing. And this conference actually was to give a way forward. I left just after we had finished. So my suggestion, when this is done, even with the current regulations, I think that conference would bring a lot of visibility about accessibility. And to me, this conference should include the Ministry of Housing, Ministry of Roads, the Board of Architects and Quantity Surveyors, Institute of Engineers, NTSA, Matatu Association, the Kenya Railways, because you use that, a Ministry of Education, Bus and Matatu Builders Association, because like what you were saying, if you go, I don't see why in this country, when we are building roads or even this, we can't have a proper bus stop with a platform. And what they have done in other countries, the buses have a flat floor, and that floor is almost flush with the platform. So they just move something, and so if you have your wheelchair, you go in, and inside the bus, the first two places, like you see in airports, those can be built. So I think we had it, I don't know, guys who are there, if we can remember that, and then we can look at every regulation, who should implement it, and let's have a big program of access. Sign language moved ahead of everything because it came in the Constitution. I think that is why. The lifts were easy to handle, so you can put those braille in the lift, and you can put the talking lifts. But if you go abroad, even buses, even train stock, we are on this and we are going to this. So you just move, it can be done. And finally, again with the same of accessibility, I don't know whether we have it in the Act. Why don't we actually create accessibility officers to work with people who authorize buildings for occupation? So these officers, they also must now give okay for a building to be certified that it is fit for occupation. We can create it in this law and layers, so that before a building is certified for occupation, somebody trained on accessibility issues must go through that building. P.S. If you put that in place and you get a lot of support, you may even raise money with it before you give them the certificate. They pay. And then I was wondering, this performance contract, if you have given a PS money and he has given you their program, it is the PS to say, this is what I want to do with the money, this is what I want to achieve, and this is my target. Who is this person who comes again and he doesn't know the money you have? Probably they don't know your program, and they are saying, this target, then just eat the money for the target. With a light note.
PS, you know, we can take it like a joke, PS. But let's say the building that we already constructed.
Performance contract, we have funds to implement our targets. So we once given this as a target, we can be sure we will deliver. But of course, when you deliver matters mainstreaming disability, of course, that will bring on board almost everybody in this nation. Because this house, for example, I'm not in charge of this house. I'm not in charge of all the houses. So that person in charge of houses, that person in charge of building, that person in charge of making ramps and what have you, will have to comply. But what we're asking is, And this one we have asked actually the head of public service. He has told us and assured us that our next performance contract, it will be returned, and we want to make sure that we deliver on the mainstreaming of the disability. The fund where we used to give funds for people living with disability to do some small scale businesses, the funds are still there, and they are still provided. They're available. So we still have some funds for persons with disabilities to do some little businesses. Honorable Nyanze had just said about the exams. This, of course, is beyond me. This is now at the level of this House that can make that decision. Yes, Honorable Tim has said it. The time, Honorable Chair, you take is not the time Honorable Tim takes. And it's a similar way in most people living with disabilities. And, you know, disabilities are not the same. His mind is quite okay. Yeah? But there's a person living with disability whose mind is not as that accurate. So that person to compete with somebody who has a good brain, then it makes a difference. So at this level, when it can be taken up from there, we shall be happy as well. The regulations, we were thinking, Chair, I am not, because the other act is now too old. We felt that once we have this one, we'll definitely come up with the new regulations to go a long way with the act. And then we should be able to implement the new act fully. So, Chair, mine is really to request and appeal again and again that should we have the bill passed into law, we really appreciate, and you'll go down into record of this nation that this committee at least made sure that the act for the people living with disabilities in this country has gone through, and it will work very well for the people living with disabilities. We want to, these are normal people, these are good people, these are people like you and I, Honorable Chair. Let us give them what is due for them. I thank you.
Thank you. Honorable PS, they say disability is not an
ability. It's not an ability.
Yeah, they can do even better. Even the children with autism, even the people with autism, they're usually very smart people. It's only